Boss Rush 580, day 5. So for one of the first times this week, we actually have artillery strikeable follow-up bosses. Now, the problem with them is that they have pretty high hit points. So the second boss is going to be Vanndar with 300 hit points. So you're going to need to either hit Rogers or have at least 300 artillery strike damage to get past him. And then the last boss has a 400 HP neutral, so you're either going to need to hit a double by the last boss or have 400. But if you do meet that requirement, this is a reasonably good farm day. The other problem with this day is that Smolderwing is the first boss. So there's two major problems with Smolderwing. You have red whelps that attack at 3 speed, and you have Smolderwing who casts both fire and melee attacks. So you can't just spam root them all. The root does take care of the reds, but it only takes care of Smolderwing sometimes. And one of the fire attacks is also Flame Strike, which is slower than the whelps, so you can't just counter all of the fire attacks with your counter rune, with a Medivh, for example. So you basically have to use Freeze Bounce with Balinda Bwonsamdi to ensure the Flame Strikes are taken care of, and the Black Flight casts, which are a 1-speed fire spell, which you can avoid with bouncing as well. So there's essentially two approaches here. This approach is using Arfus and Khadgar, which is going to lock down all of the melee attacks by slowing everybody so that they can be rooted. And then it's using the freezes from Balinda just to stop the fire spells only. So you only bounce if you hit a fire spell from Smolderwing. The other strategy is to just freeze and race the boss. That is what this Geddon strategy does. So you want to taunt your water elemental on turn 1 with Medivh. You're going to need enough hit points from your mage guard plus your water elemental for it to survive one swing from the whelps so that the other one can then get frozen. You might be able to do it if you don't meet that breakpoint, but it will be harder. I didn't try it without that breakpoint. And then once you bounce after the first turn, you bring out your Geddon, and you're basically on a clock to get rid of the red whelps before turn 5, or by turn 5. And if you do that, then you can get Smolderwing stuck behind a counter rune, and you have a safe cleanup. Now this third strategy is a Malchezaar comp, which is very similar to the opener from the Geddon comp, but instead of bringing Geddon out, you're going to repeatedly bounce Malchezaar, activating his parrying blade over and over again, and shrinking the attack of Smolderwing with check your weapons. So this comp needs as low of an attack anomaly on the reds as possible. If you get 0 attack anomaly, that's perfect. I was able to beat this with them having like 240 attack, which is basically the amount that I can survive with my mage guard plus the health on my water elemental. But it did make it with this rank 25 parrying blade. It was like just a little bit not enough attack reduction on some of the turns where the fight would have been substantially easier if I just had like a couple more points here, or if I had just rolled a little bit lower attack anomaly on the reds. So this comp though, once you get through all the bounces, you end up with low enough attack on all of the enemies that you can just tank their incoming melee attacks with Mage Guard. And then you just freeze the flame strikes from Smolderwing, and then once you get rid of the red adds, you have Smolderwing completely locked down. He's got his attack shredded all the way down to 1 attack. He's stuck behind a counter ward for the Black Flight casts, and you can freeze every single flame strike because you don't take like any damage on your water elemental. So this is very much a control comp. This is your control deck. This is your aggro deck. And then this is your mid-range deck, I guess. So those are the 3 options we've got. I'm going to start with the Geddon one, because it's the most standard, I guess. And I'll go ahead and run through with all 3 of these on the video today. So again, Geddon comp, the bigger your Geddon is, the easier time you're going to have. Alright, we got a reasonable attack roll on the reds, that's good. Alright, I think we want to just get rid of this guy. There are some circumstances with some comps where you might want to utilize the Stone and Maul, and if you needed it here to make your Water Elemental survive, you could use that Stone and Maul just to reduce the incoming melee damage on your Water Elemental. So we are on a race to kill these whelps, and they do have some health anomaly. So, in the interest of safety, I'm going to put Fire Weakness on this one, because I think that gives me more damage than a Flame Dart here. If you know you're going to kill the whelps in time, you can just put your damage on Smolderwing to make the fight go faster. But if you're not sure, or you know you don't have enough, you should try to get the whelps down. Okay, and now we are just going to bring out Geddon with Balinda and Bwon. Now, there's RNG on Smolderwing's cast here. It's really bad if he spams the Black Flight ability repeatedly, because you don't get to freeze him. I've had him do that for like 3 turns in a row, and I ended up losing an entire Water Elemental for nothing. So just hope that that doesn't happen. There's not really anything you can do about it. But you do want to freeze him at the earliest opportunity here. And keep in mind, when the whelps get below their anomaly value, if they don't get finished off and you bounce, they will come back with the hit points of the anomaly +1. So there is no bounce next turn. Alright, so I don't need to put damage with Balinda on the whelps anymore, so I'm just gonna shoot at Smolderwing, because I know my damage is high enough to finish them next turn. Okay, so now you don't have to bring Bwonsamdi out here, but you could. But I'm going to need the fire combo to kill the whelps, and then I'm going to go ahead and get my counter rune out here to lock down Smolderwing. Okay, and we don't really need this Water Elemental either. I want to go ahead and get my bird out. And as you can see, this is enough damage to kill the whelps. And let's not counter ourselves, that would be good. Okay, so now you've got him stuck behind a counter rune. So generally the easiest way to do the cleanup is going to be to get him as low. Let's see. So on these turns, you can let him hit your big health guys if you need help getting them killed. So in this case, my Geddon is my... Just be careful with your Geddon if you don't want him to die early. It's also fine if he dies early, because birds do clean this up very well also. But he has the lowest health, so I can just let these melee attacks go into my Balinda and my Medivh to soften them up. And it is really nice if you can set up a good, clean Flame Strike turn to wipe out everything that's not Artillery Strike. So I am going to just let this hit me. So we'll counter. And I'm going to not freeze him. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. You can save the Water Elemental to do like a... Get attacks off on like a Flame Strike turn or something. I want to just get a bird out though.
Job's done.
So you could delay this and just like ramp the one bird instead. Okay, Flame Strike turn. We're not ready to be Flame Struck yet. So this is where like you could have just used the Water Elemental this turn instead of passing. But it does have a cooldown, so he can't spam it. So you don't have to worry too much about it. I was not even paying attention. Did his... Oh, I froze him last turn. I was like, where did that melee attack go last turn? But he was frozen. Because I was expecting my Balinda to be injured right now. And you can also manipulate your HP with Mage Guard. So say you wanted to get softened up by a melee swing, but his attack was too high and it was going to kill somebody, but you just wanted them low, you could put a Mage Guard on them, and then maybe that gives you the right amount of health so that it just gets them low enough for Flame Strike. Alright, we're just going to pass on Flame Strike turns. Okay, that's going to be countered, so just make sure you don't do anything at 1 speed. We don't have any attacks with this comp that can do that. And if you do have strong birds, just keep in mind they ramp very quickly. What looks like a lot of hit points might not be a lot of hit points. And you don't want to kill him prematurely. So this one's going to hit my Medivh. And then I'm going to go ahead... See, this is going to do like 500, 600. He should be fine for us to get that crit off. And then I'm going to shoot at my Geddon. It's a little concerned about how low Smolderwing is getting here. I would have been fine with Geddon dying there, but it's also fine that he lived. Okay, so this does to only target mercs, I believe, so I don't think it would hit these any of these summons here, even though they're higher HP. So we're not ready to be Flame Struck yet. Okay, and this will kill my Balinda. So let's shoot the Geddon. And I'll get him a little bit lower. Let's see, actually, let's not shoot the Geddon. Let's let that kill Balinda, and we'll just get him... Okay, I'm gonna not crit. I guess I'll just health buff here. And I'm trying to just get some more ramp with the birds without like killing stuff. Alright, I think this will work. I'm probably overthinking this. But it's fine. So my goal here is to get a board that has just the guys I want dead, which we have now, and then we want to Binding Contract for the finishing blow. Okay, so that's enough damage to kill everything. And then this is enough damage to kill him, and the Binding Contract initial hit will not finish him off, which is what I was kind of thinking about last turn. So that should take care of it then. So now we just need to hit an artillery strike for at least 300 damage to a red, which for me, I've got a 75% chance of. Alright, so that's a win. My artillery strike luck has been abysmal today so far, but at least it seems to be turning around. My very first 4 runs, I missed artillery strike on with the same odds here as here. So that was unlucky. And you don't have to worry about actually killing the blues, since they die when Vanndar dies due to their passive. And then I think this guy is only like 180. So if you got past Vanndar, you'll always kill Nightbane, but then you need the 400 for Chromaggus, who is a neutral. So you're going to either need to hit 2 or have 400 by then. So I guess if you start with... The requirement's not actually 400, it would be 392, because you'll get a double upgraded artillery strike from these rerolls. So as you can see here, it went up to 408. So if I had been 392 to start with, we would still kill Chromaggus here. Alright, so there's your Geddon comp. 17 turns. I kind of took my time thinking about the cleanup and stuff, but you could probably farm that reasonably well if you get the pattern down and everything and you don't have to think too much. So let's go ahead and jump into the Khadgar comp now. So I'm using Downward Dog here. Blizzard equipment, Arena Contender, Water Elemental, all standard stuff here. Our heal equipment, and then Swashbuckling Sash on Rogers. This one, it's whatever. You're probably never going to use Rogers in combat. Let's hop into it with this one. Now, this comp has a... You're taking a risk on turn 1 because your Khadgar is basically naked. He doesn't have anything to protect him. But you've got 2 greens, and in my experience, they always swing at the greens. So I don't think you ever lose Khadgar here, but he is unprotected. And on this comp, I think we just want to... Let's see. I don't think there's any use for the Stonewall Banner again. You can swing with this just in case they don't kill him, but they should always kill him. They might swing into double Bwonsamdi. Okay, they can. So that's why it's important to swing. And now, every turn we just bring out Balinda, Khadgar, and Bwonsamdi. And your positioning shouldn't really matter. I guess it's better to put Balinda on the right, since you don't use your Water Elemental every turn, just for like ease of targeting. Okay, so now you just use Blizzard every single turn. You want to ramp Frost as often as possible, and you just check if he's using a fire skill. He's not, we don't bounce. In my case, I have this Binding Contract higher level than Soul Subjugation, so it actually deals more damage. And we're just going to put all of... Oh, actually, I guess you don't have to try to kill this off. You don't really need the board space, and it will get ramped from Hearthfire, and then you can do damage with it later. So, I guess I'll hold on that guy for now. But yeah, you're just rooting every turn, ramping Frost, putting as much damage as you can into Smolderwing, and you just bounce when he uses Fire. Okay, so he used Fire. So we don't have enough Frost ramp yet, so I'm going to get some Frost Weakness instead. And now we're bouncing. You could put damage into the reds, but the damage clock is really for all of the enemies. You're probably not going to be able to survive very long at the end, even if the reds are dead with this comp, because we don't have Medivh to lock them out. You can bring in Genn though, and heal through the fire damage and stuff, so maybe trying to focus the reds if you are like low on damage could be beneficial. So we don't bounce even though we could refresh this freeze. We just do as much damage as we can here. So you don't act with these unless you're doing a bounce. And you can get lucky. I guess this is high enough we just use Frost now. Is it? Maybe one more Frost weakness. You can get lucky and he can just spam his melee attack over and over again so that you never have to bounce. And then you have like unlimited time, but it's just random what he chooses to do. He does seem to kind of alternate in general, but that's probably just variance. If it does make a difference on your water elemental surviving, you could use this stone and maul here to protect it and get an extra water elemental to stick around, but we're not going to be able to do that here. So if he does use like 2 melee attacks in a row, sometimes you'll be able to Hearthfire buff your water elemental, especially if you got no attack anomaly. And then maybe with the assistance of the stone and maul. So it's not the fastest way to kill, but it's not the slowest either. You do have to go through all these bounces. So these whelps should be gone next turn, I believe. And now we're going to do frost damage here. And we did get another fire spell. And now you want to start thinking about your cleanup. So we need all 3 of these guys to die by the end of the fight. But we don't want them to die prematurely. So Khadgar dies pretty easily because he's blue. So he gets crit. Okay. We don't get a bounce, but we can freeze that. Or we can choose to not freeze it. I think it's better to freeze it because we get set on fire if we don't. Okay, and this actually does not damage you if you bounce, and we do have a bounce available this turn. This thing will take damage though, but it won't die. So another thing to watch out for is as his health is getting low, if you are going to start letting melee attacks through, we have ramped our attack to close to 200. So just keep that in mind when you're setting up the end here, that he's going to take that melee crackback if you let him hit you. Okay, so we don't get burned this turn because we can do this. We're just doing frost damage here. Okay, so we could let this hit us. We want to set up for Flame Strike to kill us. And it only does like 130, I think it was. So Khadgar needs to take damage. So I want to let this hit me. Currently going to hit Balinda. And we want to start shooting our own guys. So I think that sets him up. I don't know if he needs to shoot himself. I'm just going to do that. And then we can Arcane Surge somebody. Probably her. Actually, I'm going to shoot Balinda with this instead. Oh, okay, so I forgot that we made Khadgar highest health when we did that. We should have not shot Balinda. But that's okay. So currently, Bwonsamdi dies. And we are going to get set on fire. Balinda will not currently die. So if we do this, both of these guys will die. I used my Binding Contract last turn, so I kind of messed this up. I'm going to swing with that, and I don't have to kill Balinda just yet. I think we'll be fine if we do, though. So yeah, I messed up the cleanup. Oh. And again, I forgot about... Okay. Maybe I should have had coffee today. Okay, so currently that's going to hit Rogers, which we definitely don't want. But Genn's going to heal himself. I do need to get rid of this Balinda, though, somehow. And we're just going to have to protect our Rogers. So... if I cast that on him, that's bad. Guess I just heal Genn. We can't do anything with either of these, really. Could swing. But I don't... Maybe swinging is good? Maybe swinging is good. I think Balinda has to shoot herself. Oh, and I healed her again, but that's fine. I'm just out of it today, I guess. But thankfully I have a strong Genn. No Blackflight? Oh, he Blackflighted. But he is slowed. It's like 175. Okay, yeah, he's dead. Alright, well we messed it up, but we got through it. So don't do what I did. Don't get your Khadgar melee attacked prematurely. So that melee attack should have hit Balinda, and then we would have had a nice setup for or clean up the next turn. We would have just had to shoot Balinda like the next turn instead. But at least I got to demonstrate how messy it gets if you mess it up, and how like the Genn healing plus Genn being the highest health, plus you can't really summon Genn summon without also buffing your Balinda. And it makes everything so messy. So don't mess it up. Maybe after I do the Malchezaar comp, I'll do a redemption run of Khadgar comp to show how it's supposed to go. So I made that take longer than it needed to, but I'm still new to all three of these comps. I beat it once with each of them. So that's a little bit of my conundrum with the posting of the videos. I want them to be available as early as possible so you guys can have the strategy right after the new bounty releases. But early on, I don't know which comp is best. I haven't practiced with it. I don't know all the little details and intricacies of the failure conditions and specific plays you need to make to navigate the fights. And I can give you a much more polished tutorial if I've run it a few times. So there's a balancing act there. But for the Malchezaar comp here, we're going to use our Water Elemental, Arena Contender, Unstable Runes, Parrying Blade, and the rank on this definitely does matter. Our healing equipment on Genn, and then the Swashbuckling Sash is especially good in this comp because if you ever did need to swing with Rogers at the end, although you shouldn't, all of your enemies are going to have very low attack, so she can just get in there and swing if you needed to. Alright, so this attack is too high. This comp needs basically the attack roll that I had on the Geddon comp. The Khadgar comp doesn't even care what the attack roll is. But I need that, like, what is it, 240 or less attack for this comp to really work? Which kind of the Geddon comp needs too. I think that's still too high. 267. So I have 115 Mage Guard and 147 Water Elemental. So like 260, basically like 260 or less is theoretically doable, but the lower the better. Because 261 actually would be my limit. Oh, we got the good roll. Alright, perfect. I re-rolled this fight like 20 times and couldn't find this roll. But we actually hit it for the video, so that's cool. So you'll get to see this comp absolutely demolish this fight. This should be like a guaranteed win, I think, if you hit the no attack anomaly with the stats that I have. So we do this, and we're bouncing. And damage on the reds is the best. So I'm just going to shoot a red. And we don't need to swing with this because he's immune to melee anyway, and they're both going to swing into it, and it's taunted. So, yeah. I'm just going to get rid of the Stonewall Banner with this comp. We don't have, like, Hearthfire buffs on it to worry about. There are some comps where you can taunt the Stonewall Banner to cover turn 1. Some, like, using Nimsy, you can do that. And now, we are just going to keep bouncing our Malchezaar. Go away, Stonewall Banner. Okay. So we're going to shrink him and freeze him and do a bounce. Amp our fire damage. And since we shrink him first, the order matters there. You get to keep this Water Elemental if it's big enough. But it should be okay if it dies. Okay, so we just want Malchezaar here. And that was turn 2, so he's still gonna bounce here. And now because the reds were so small, we actually get to shrink Smolderwing again this turn already. If you had the higher anomalies, they would be just peeking over his attack value, and you wouldn't be able to shrink Smolderwing this turn, so that's why the anomaly roll is so important. But I have beaten it where I was not able to shrink Smolderwing for like 3 turns here. So it's not a loss. We are going to just focus one down, though. Okay, and I'm thinking about, so next turn, we don't get to bounce, and then they're going to unfreeze. So, instead of bringing out Balinda again, we're going to bring out Medivh, and then that will give us our counter rune, and also allow us to start buffing hit points on the water elementals. But we still want the Malchezaar, because we need that attack reduction. And we're still bringing Bwonsamdi one more time, because he will get to bounce again. And this is the rare thing that you don't get unless you get the minimum attack value on the reds. We get to actually shrink again already. So these 2 shrinks that I've gotten off on Smolderwing do not happen if you get the like 240 to 260 attack whelps. And it just makes this fight so much easier if you have them this low. So I could kill off a water elemental and just get a bird out now, because these guys have been shredded so severely and they started so low. But I'll do this the way that you would normally do it, which is usually you can make this one big enough that it can still do like a double hit. So I'm going to go ahead and taunt him instead of the higher health one. You could also... Actually, no, I'm going to do this bigger one, because we do get another bounce, so we do get another elemental out. So we're going to go ahead and throw this small one away. So I'll just buff the big one instead. I'm remembering now, this is what I did the last time. So it doesn't really matter what you do with Malchezaar here. Since these are so small, you could even swing with them just to get the damage, takes more damage thing. But we are going to bounce. And let's see here. Man, this doesn't even die if I taunt it. So I'm going to taunt that one, and we're still going to throw this one away. And then this is whatever. Doesn't really matter what you do with Malchezaar. It's good to not take damage with him, though, because you can... if you didn't hit this good anomaly roll, you can end up taunting him on some of the turns to have him tank the 2 whelp hits. So you don't want him to take damage for just no reason. Unless you do get the crazy good roll like this. Then it doesn't matter. You can also cast All Realities there just for damage. I think my All Realities actually does do 2 more damage than my Check Your Weapons, so I missed 2 damage, but I don't care. And now we don't care about Bwonsamdi anymore because he can't really do much for us with bounces. And put your Balinda to the left of your Medivh, because we want another water elemental, not another counter rune. And the battle cries go in order from left to right. Okay, so we've already won at this point, so we just need to do a little cleanup here. You want to kill the whelps first. I could even just swing with elementals for damage at this point, which is just going to speed this up. I would like to get a bird out here to speed it up as well, but I'll go ahead and buff the water elemental because that's what you would normally do. I'll swing here. You would normally not swing with the elementals here on a higher attack roll. And on these turns, if it's Black Flight, you just let it be countered. The whelp attacks, you don't actually have to freeze anymore. So you can put this Mage Guard on whoever you want. And generally speaking, they're going to have high enough attack that you would rather taunt like your Medivh or your Malchezaar. You don't want to taunt Balinda because she'll get crit. But you can taunt your Medivh or your Malchezaar to tank these hits to preserve hit points on your water elemental if the incoming damage from those 2 swings is more than the health of your Mage Guard. Since I've got the good roll, though, I'm just going to do it on the water elemental because it has the highest attack. And my Mage Guard actually heals for more than the incoming damage, so I might as well just get that extra damage here. So normally you're just taunting whatever's going to tank. So either Medivh, Malchezaar, or Water Elemental. And then you're swinging with a Water Elemental only when there's a Flame Strike cast in order to prevent that Flame Strike. And these Stonewall Slayers, you can usually just let them hit your Balinda. So I'm just going to keep doing the same thing here. We have to counter because there's no Black Flight this turn. And once you completely get rid of the whelps, you can fully shrink the Smolderwing with your Malchezaar. And also, usually, you would have been forced to lose an elemental by now. So you would end up getting a bird out somewhere in this process, which will help you get rid of the whelps quicker. Okay, we did get a Flame Strike. I'm suffering from success a little bit because I want this Water Elemental gone so I could have a bird out. I could even shoot it with Balinda to get rid of it faster, to get a bird out quicker. So you do have a Flame Strike, so we're going to freeze that. I'm actually going to do that. I just want... Well, I'll lose ramp if I do that. 9. Yeah, I don't get it out any faster, so I might as well do it this way. And we don't really need hit points anymore. I even let that red crit me. So you would typically have to taunt every turn until the whelps are gone. But I've got these guys so small already that I don't even care. Just don't let your Arcane Ward die. In the interest of ensuring that happens, I'm going to freeze Smolderwing. Okay, so we just got melee attacks coming in. Okay, and now you can fully shred the attack. You do need to keep your Water Elemental and your Counter Rune around, but everything else is disposable. Because you need to be able to stop the Flame Strikes with the Ellie and the Black Flight with the Counter Rune. And once you've got him sufficiently shrunk, you can go ahead and kill off your Malchezaar. I'll probably do that next turn. You can take him all the way down to 1 attack if you want. The attack rounds up, so you can't get him to 0 without like bouncing or something or using another effect. Okay, so we'll shrink him first and then freeze him, and I guess Balinda can kill... Oh, I guess we won't get a shrink. That's fine. I don't care about the shrink. So Balinda is going to kill him, and then we'll get a bird out. And we attack with our Counter Rune. Okay, now we don't need Balinda anymore either, but we'll wait one more turn. Okay, so just be careful with the hit points here. The birds scale very fast. So Balinda's gone. That'll let us bring Bwonsamdi out. And then, let's see, 168 plus... 530. 698. Okay, that's fine. And this is gonna go up by 60. So 235. It almost kills him. Hope I did the math right. Not have a repeat of the Khadgar fight. This one will be much cleaner though, because I've got him lower. Okay, so that'll be countered, and we can do this, and this, and this should take care of it, I think. So yeah, we killed Medivh first, and then we killed Bwonsamdi. You can also set up a Flame Strike turn, which was my original plan. But he didn't cast Flame Strike, so we went ahead and did it this way. Alright, we hit artillery on all of these. Nice. Getting some renown. So that's all three of the strats. I guess I'll do a redemption arc on the Khadgar run and just run that one again real quick. So you can see like the cleaner version of the cleanup. So yeah, just figure out which of those strategies, and there may be more too. So I think in the past we've had some Nimsy strategies that would taunt either Bwonsamdi or the Stonewall banner on turn 1, and use that to protect you while you do whatever you're trying to do behind the taunt. There might be something involving that that's good. I tried a few different things though, and the fact that you have the Smolderwing has RNG on his abilities. He has both melee and fire attacks. They are both fast and slow, and you have fast melee attackers. It's just hard to come up with anything more creative than these fairly straightforward comps that we have here. Just given the requirements of that first fight. So it's basically just whatever you can use to get through the Smolderwing fight the fastest and most reliably, and then just hit your artillery strikes, and this can be a good farm day. I haven't decided which comp I'm going to use as my main comp yet. I like the Malchezaar comp the best because it's different. I do like this Khadgar comp, how it doesn't care what anomaly you get. So I might end up using this one. So okay, so we're gonna save that Stonewall banner this time. Not swing with it, since we learned it picks up Hearth Fire for us. Oh, I guess I wasted damage. I could have hit a red there. So swing at a red if it's enough to kill your Arfus. It should be for most people. Alright, Blizzard spam. I also like how straightforward We need a bounce? We do. We did get a fire spell right away. That's unfortunate. But yeah, I like how straightforward this comp is. You don't really have to think about what the enemies are doing, aside from just checking is there a fire spell incoming. So it's just always Blizzard with Khadgar, always deal damage with Bwonsamdi unless there's a fire spell, always just get as much damage ramp with Frost as you can and do as much damage as possible, and then freeze if fire. So it's like one conditional that you're looking at. And we are not ramped enough to shoot Frost yet. No fire spell, excellent. Darn. Okay, we have to bounce. And I don't actually have to freeze him because the bounce gets you off the board. And this fire anomaly was low enough that it does not kill this water elemental. So I'm gonna not freeze. That's something I didn't mention the first go round on the Khadgar comp, because it didn't come up, I think. Maybe I don't think I mentioned it. But the fire debuff, where you take damage when you act, it does not activate until after this gets to swing. So you don't have to worry about losing your elemental before it gets to freeze. And it doesn't take burning damage unless it acts. Or actually, does that passive not... There's no debuff here. Or is it just waiting to show me the debuff? No debuff. I thought it was minions too. I think it is. Maybe it's just not displaying. But there's normally a debuff listed in the debuff list. I don't know what's going on with that. He should have the burning debuff though. Unless somehow the order that I placed Bwonsamdi or something caused Bwonsamdi bounce to activate before the fire activated, because he was off the board when that fire damage went off, so maybe you don't get burned? Huh, maybe that's how it works. Not sure. Okay, we are going to lose this elemental to that fire damage, so I might as well swing with it. And now we can shoot Frost. I don't like how many bounces you have to do at this comp for farming, but it's kind of unavoidable. Like, every comp has bounces. Even the Geddon comp has to bounce quite a few times. I tried to come up with some comps that don't have to bounce, but there was one I tried to use Bran, but my Bran doesn't have enough resistance on his whip. And also, the fire anomaly can just get way too big, where you realistically can't outpace it with Bran. You'd have to get lucky on him not using fire too much early, and have a strong Bran, and have a low fire anomaly for that to work. Okay, so Flame Strike, have a bounce. I could just Hearthfire instead. Because I would like him to help me get my guys low with his melee attack. But I currently don't have enough hit points because his attack is high. So if I Hearthfire, I can get where I'm just big enough to survive a swing. Help me set up for a better transition. And I'm going to not use my Binding Contract this time in case I end up killing Bwonsamdi very soon. He does really seem to alternate. In the past, though, it seemed more random. Okay, I'm going to freeze that, but we're not going to bounce. And let's see, that's going to do 226 to Khadgar, so Khadgar needs damage. We also need damage on Bwonsamdi. I think that's like just enough. And we want to keep Balinda highest health. Keep in mind that he's gonna get hit for like 200 if he swings into us. So you want him to have some hit points. So these guys should be ready to die to a Flame Strike. She'll be ready to die if she gets hit by a melee swing. So we're basically ready to go. He's gonna take 200 here. I think that's what we want to do. We have the banner too to help finish him. Nice, Flame Strike. Okay, so 226 on Khadgar, 113 on everybody else, and we should be good to go. Alright, redeemed. So there's the clean transition, and do we miss? We missed. Alright, well that was my punishment for messing up the last time. And I can also prove to you that I don't have perfect RNG on my artillery strike. So there's the 3 comps: Geddon comp, Khadgar comp, and the Malchezaar comp. Good luck!